We're going to start with Nicole, who's writing from Temple. I'm assuming the university. And Nicole writes, I voted for you in hopes that you would bring about real estate tax reform. What say you regarding House Bill 1776? Please let the citizens know where you stand. Thank you. Just real quick on that bill, we're talking about maybe realigning the sales tax that would provide property tax relief. There's even a thing that down the road local school districts could maybe have a personal income tax if it was approved by voters. So where do you stand?
Well, the bill, as you know, is very broad and would be a tremendous change to how we do taxing here in Pennsylvania. As a result, it is something that is being studied in the legislature. I think it's gone out of the House Finance Committee over to the House Appropriations Committee to look at the fiscal impact. Because if you change the taxing system, we know we need at least the amount of money that we have coming in right now. Otherwise, we're going to continue to reduce spending in other areas. So that the legislature is the one that has to pass the legislation. We weigh in a little bit, answer their questions, but the decision really has to be made is, do we gain money from this? Do we lose money from this?
I would think it's very, very difficult to be able to project how much money something until it's actually in place and you see the numbers coming in.
Well, they do the projections, and we've seen the projections when we do our budget and everything. Right. And sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. But this is a tremendously different approach from the way we have been doing this. And it's going to take an educational approach. There are people out there that really want this, and there are a lot of people out there that really don't want this. I think we all want property tax reform, and that has to come about. But you know what I found is the pace of changing things in Harrisburg is glacial.
Yeah, that's actually putting it lightly, I think. So the message, Nicole, is it's
we're
being
working,
looked at.
On it. We're working on it, Nicole. The legislature is working on it. One of the things I try to remind the voters, why haven't you changed this? I'm only one part of a three-part branch of government. And the legislature is the one that has to pass the laws. I have to sign them. I try to encourage them in many laws, and sometimes they listen to me, and sometimes they don't, even my own party.
Next email comes from Schwanksville, from Michael, and he writes, Dear Governor, I had worked with builders and real estate projects for some years. In discussion with others of the community, we feel certain that the state could save a huge amount of taxpayer money in regards to the GSA project of the 3 new prisons to be built at Graterford. 2 examples he cites here. One, the original prison has massive masonry walls, costly to replicate, and he says that there may be 60 acres inside the wall for new buildings, and that would save costs of reconstructing a whole new perimeter wall if they built inside the existing walls. And then he also says in the building trade, reuse of materials is a cost savings over purchasing all new materials, and the current buildings inside the wall could be renovated instead of replaced. He says, we hope that helps. Keep up the good work. Best regards. I guess his question is, are all of these things looked at when it's time to build a new prison or building?
They really are. And, you know, when I came in, I appointed John Wetzel as Secretary of Corrections. We immediately took a look at the Graterford prison he did. We thought we could improve upon the plan that was originally designed, that we inherited when we came in, so we rebid the whole thing. There's a lot of security issues that you deal with in a prison. We're actually, because of the redesign, going to be able to add more prisoners with not increasing the size of the staff because of the way they do sight lines and securities and everything. There has been a lot of work done at Graterford over the years. It was built in the 1920s. Can you imagine dealing with things that were built in the 1920s, upgrading them for today? And the cost of upgrade oftentimes will exceed the cost of a new project. So we took a very careful look at it. The inside of the prison yard has seen a lot of additions that I think a lot of people aren't aware of over the years. But we are taking a look at it, and we're dealing with the experts in this and trying to make it as workable as possible. One of the things we are doing with it is there will be a wing that we will be bringing in for women, that women will come into this prison, separate from the men, obviously. But right now we have 2 women prisons around the state that are quite far from Philadelphia, and we found that there's a significant percentage of the women prisoners from the southeastern part of Pennsylvania. And the whole idea is to return them to this prison a couple years before they are to get out, so they reacclimate to their home area and they'll have somewhere to go when they get out.
Okay. I guess, they say a lot of things were made better back in the day, but prisons may not be one of them.
That's right.
Yeah. Next comes from George from Pittsburgh. Dear Honorable Governor Corbett, you got to like that polite intro. A way to increase the Pennsylvania lottery revenues would be to let the winners remain anonymous. A lot of people that I know, including myself, don't play the lottery because the winners are publicized. And by changing the current law governing lottery winners, you might have to petition PA state government. First of all, if the lottery is going to give me $10 million, they can put my face on a billboard anywhere they want. I find it, George, hard to believe that you don't want $10 million or $20 million just because your name would get out there. But is that law or is that just lottery policy?
Well, it's right to know law in Pennsylvania, and it is lottery policy, a combination of the two. What we have to put out there is the name of the winner, the city and county of residence, not the address. So, there are a number of Tom Corbett's in the North Hills of Allegheny County have no relationship to me at all. Unfortunately, everybody knows where I live because you can look it up on websites nowadays. They also have to put the name of the game that they won, the date of the win, and the amount of the prize.
These are for the big prizes, though.
Oh, these are for all prizes.
For all prizes.
For all prizes.
Okay.
I believe. So, but on the big prizes, you can remain beyond that anonymous. What we do encourage are those who are big winners. As you said, we could put your face up on the billboard. We encourage people to do that so that people know that there are winners out there.